Hi guys, so today we are here with Aida Macedo running for District 4, and she's going to be speaking on the things that she wants to do for Whittier. But most importantly, we want you guys to go out and vote, and we are having this conversation to hopefully have you guys listen to it and give us some feedback and go out and vote for Whittier. Hi,
Yes.
Aida, how you doing?
Hi, thanks for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Yeah.
It's my favorite, one of my favorite parks.
Yeah, Michigan Park is beautiful. You know,
Yeah.
I love this park. My brother just bought a house down the street.
Oh,
You know, and
good.
he has a 2-year-old and a 1-month-year-old. So
Oh,
we have,
wow.
so we have a lot of
Good.
skin in the game, and we're trying to better our
Yes.
community.
Of course. Yeah. Thank you.
And I want to start off with, how did you come to Whittier? Like, how did you find Whittier, or
Yeah.
did Whittier find you?
Yeah.
How was it? What's the story?
So I think my family found Whittier first
Okay.
because I grew up in different cities around Southeast LA, kind of moved around. I was raised by a single mom, immigrant from Mexico.
Okay.
And my family moved to Whittier about 20 years ago. And I was gone. I went to Cerritos College. I went to UC Irvine.
Nice.
And then after UC, I went to UC Davis for law school. So I
Nice.
moved to Northern California.
Yeah.
And I've been all over the state. You know,
Nice.
after law school, I got a job in the Central Valley and ended up staying in the Central Valley after building my career for about 10 years.
Nice.
But then I had a baby and I got married. And for the parents out there, you can't raise a baby without your family around.
Yeah. It takes a village, right?
It does. It takes a big village. So I was like, it's time to move back home.
Yeah.
Well, back home was now Whittier because my
Nice.
family was here. And so I tell people I saved my pennies so I could buy a house in
Yes.
Whittier because they are not cheap. And so that's how I ended up in Whittier.
Nice,
Yeah,
nice.
yeah.
Yeah,
Which I
that's-
love. I love the community. And the biggest reason I jumped into the race was because I saw kind of a lack of leadership in
Yeah.
our government level.
Yeah. No, and that's good. You know, I think I've seen some stuff where people say that you haven't been in Whittier for a long time, but I've told some of the people out here, I said, yeah, I know that maybe she doesn't have the experience and hasn't lived here as much as other people, but I feel like you bring a fresh set of eyes that can see things that maybe we have been accustomed to.
Right.
Like, we're used to seeing certain things and seeing things to be a certain way.
Yeah.
But I feel you coming in with a fresh view of different areas you lived in, you could bring a different style, a different way of thinking to
For
Whittier,
sure.
and I actually like that.
Yeah, and you know, I'll give you like 2 examples of that. So one is when I got involved was because I contacted my council member about an issue here at
Oh,
the
okay.
playground.
Yeah.
So it was a repair problem. And normally, in my experience as an attorney and working with other cities, you contact your council
Yeah.
member to help you fix problems.
Yeah.
Well, here I realized like, oh, I was kind of disregarded
Yeah.
and like I was passed on to somebody at City Hall and the other person, et cetera. And I was like, that's weird.
Yeah.
That's not how that's supposed to work,
Yeah.
right? And I think I started digging and realized like so many residents have been pushed out of City Hall
Yeah.
and neglected in many ways, which I think that's not how local
Yeah.
government is supposed to work. And then the second thing was when I started campaigning, people were like, wow, you have a very professional campaign. I'm like, yeah, because I respect the community and I... That's gross.
Whittier politics. Whittier politics in one picture,
exactly,
in one video.
Exactly. And you know, I take the position seriously, and I want to devote it like the professionalism that I think it deserves.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm very intense, you know,
Yeah.
and I'm like, I'm going door to door every day.
Yeah.
I'm doing social media. I'm communicating with residents. I'm doing meet and
Yeah.
greets because I believe in transparency. And
Yeah.
I believe that we need a council that actually represents us.
Yeah, no, and it's true. Speaking with a lot of Whittier residents, they have shared with me that they go to City Hall and normally they feel like, okay, my sidewalk or there's something going on, right? They should be able to put it in a book and, okay, yeah, you know, we'll take care of that. We need to fix this sidewalk. We're going to put it in the book. It's on the schedule. You should see action in 2 weeks.
Yep.
Something like that.
Yep.
But we don't have that here, you know, and it's unfortunately because we do get
Yeah.
taxed a lot, you know?
Yeah, and it is true. Like our taxes are high, and I think the more that I talk to residents, the more I've realized that certain people's problems get solved.
Yeah.
Certain people's problems are resolved and prioritized by City Hall, and some are not.
Yeah.
It depends where you live. It depends who you're involved with, what club you're a part of, etc. And it shouldn't be that way.
Yeah, I mean, it shouldn't be that way.
Yeah.
I mean, I also see the other side too. I mean, I think Whittier has a lot of people that have never left Whittier.
Yeah.
Like me, myself, I've been here since like 95.
Yeah.
And so I have a lot of relationships, and I see what you're saying, but I also don't see it as a bad thing.
Yeah.
I think that there's networks that have been formed, and then they help each other out.
Right.
But what we're trying to set up is like, hey, you know, also help out the people that have been here maybe 5 years, and that they bought a house. Their taxes are probably 10 grand or more.
Oh yeah.
So they are contributing. So you should be able to help everybody out.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that there's one thing that there's a difference, right? There's one thing in building community, and I do think Whittier has a strong community. The residents have been my favorite part of the campaign, just meeting people, going door to door, and how kind people are, and the fact that so many people care about that. And I think as a kid who moved around a lot because we were low income and we didn't have resources, we built community with our neighbors the best that we could. But a lot of times we were struggling making ends meet, right? And my mom couldn't afford to pay for food sometimes. And to me, I didn't have as much of that when I was a kid, besides like church, for example. But I think that's the beauty of Whittier, that we do have that sense of community, and that we should support and continue to grow that. But I think the difference that I see is like, that should not translate to City Hall and government. Government should be available for everybody. No matter if you've lived here 2 months, if you've been here 6 months, if you've been here 40 years, like, government should be representing you, even if you're a renter, even if you don't own a home. Of course, homeowners, the way that we think about that, and me too, right? I'm a homeowner, is like, you're setting roots. You're gonna be here for a long time. And I've been, you know, an LA native. Like, I love LA. And to me, building the community is important, but government should be above all that too. And that's the way that I feel. Those are part of my values.
No, that's true. You know, that's why a lot of the times, you know, when I talking to residents, they say, I think that if we were to have like a natural disaster here in Whittier, I think we would be okay, and not because of the police department, because the police department, there's not that many officers. Not because of the like just the hospitals and stuff, but because of our community. I feel like me meeting all the parents that I have met through volleyball, my kids playing sports. I have never met a parent here in Whittier that is a bad person. We all care about our kids. You know, we have little parties together at a park, and everybody brings more than enough. And then we end up, sometimes, it sucks to say, we end up throwing stuff away because everybody wants to contribute. You know, everybody wants to be part of it. So Whittier's a really nice place. You know, and but I want to change it up a little bit. I want to ask you about the trees. You know, there's a big controversy. They're like, no, you know, you have this side saying we need to cut all trees. You have this side saying, no, don't cut any tree. We need to save every tree. So what's your take on that? You know, what's your plan for that when you win?
So I'm a problem solver. I'm an attorney, so I have the view of like, let's have practical solutions. I think, you know, growing up, I was always like also the problem solver for my family. And the way that I see the tree issue is that you can't have one extreme or the other extreme. The truth is, we want to keep Whittier beautiful. What makes Whittier beautiful in the small town community feel? A lot of it is our green space and our trees, and we need to protect that. So I believe that we do need to protect the trees. However, if it's true that they're a liability, then let's do the repairs, right? Let's get that fixed. That doesn't mean we have to get rid of 80 trees. That doesn't mean we have to take out the 178 trees at Parnell Park that they took out without input from the community. No, it means that we protect them at all costs, but we take care of the issues. And I think that's one of the problems with our city council, is that they're passive. They're so passive, and they don't deal with problems until they're a big problem. And the tree issue to me is more about the development contract on the line. That's a $25 million contract that the council has already promised people. Because what I understand is they're not willing willing to compromise. Like I'm telling you, like the practical solution is get rid of the trees that are a problem and keep the rest, keep the majority. But I think it's beyond that. I think it's beyond, it's the things that we're not seeing and the things that we're not privy to in those conversations. And that's why I'm running on a transparency platform. It's like we need transparency, we need communication with the residents, because who's going to be the most affected if the trees are gone? Our kids, right? And us when we're like senior citizens. You know, the reality is that a lot of communities don't have that. And I've had friends who come visit me in Whittier and they're like, Whittier's beautiful. You know, and they're almost shocked by it. Like, oh, it's so nice. And I'm like, yeah, that's why I live here. It's beautiful.
I usually do videos that are like, don't come to Whittier, guys. It's horrible here, because I don't want any more people here. I'm selfish. I want it all to myself.
Don't want it to
you
get
know?
out. And that's the thing too, right? Like my opponent and our city council, I feel they're selling out Whittier, right? Like they're overdeveloping Whittier on Whittier Boulevard. We can't absorb that. We can't absorb
Too
that.
much traffic too.
And
then you know, as far as like the trees and the businesses, like I know that there's a lot of businesses that are going to be affected most likely when you have major construction there. And I feel like only certain sides get protected, like we were saying before, where you're like, hey, they don't listen to everybody. You know, one of the concerns that I have is that they say they want to protect the business owners, but I also feel like the people that own the real estate, the buildings, they're also business owners. They're just in a different type of business. So it's kind of hard. Like, how do you protect both? You know, how do you protect the business owners that own the buildings that are in real estate? And then how do you protect the guys that lease out the buildings? So it's a very like hard like balance. Decision and balance. Like what do you plan on
So
on doing
I have
that?
my office in Uptown. I'm actually right next to Greenleaf. So I'm on Bright. And I think that both landlord, business owners, and the smaller like shops are both unhappy. I think they're unhappy because they haven't gotten enough support from the city. The way that I see it is like there's a lot of talk, not enough action. And a lot of the businesses are struggling. You know, I've seen a bunch of shops close down. I see like the amount of people coming to Uptown has gone down. And I'm there every day. You know, I go to lunch there, I go to dinner, you know, I'm in the area all the time. And I do think that we need to actually like put action behind our words and actually create like sustainable programs for business owners. It's so hard to run a business. It's so hard. And I think we just say, oh, we support businesses, but show me the receipts. What are you doing?
What have
for
you
them?
done?
And this renovation, like, I don't think most of the businesses can sustain it. I don't think shutting down or blocking traffic or whatever is gonna, I don't think they would survive it. I think there has to be like a phase program if that's going to happen. How are you going to phase those changes? And what actual programs as a city are we going to do to make sure those businesses don't fall apart? The economy is bad. We have ICE rates, you know, that are affecting customers coming out. Like, you know, if we don't feel safe, like people are not going to buy things. People are not going to like go to the restaurants in Uptown, no matter what they do.
And you hit up on a good point, you know, because the way that ICE is going around is, it's a bad thing, you know. It's not, to me, it's not strategic, and it's just bad for for public safety. You know, like people driving around with masks and grabbing people just off the street is not something that you want to do. You know, especially when it comes from guys that are used to sitting at the border. Like I'm not an expert in anything, right? But this is the way I look at it. I'm like, okay, you have guys that sit at the border and they protect the border, right? But then you bring them into an urban area where there's like regular residents, citizens, kids, cars. I mean, they're not, in my opinion, they're not trained for that, you know. And then they fast track, oh, we'll give you $40,000 and you know, we'll hire anybody. Hey, come over here and like you know, work. It's like a barber has to do more than to be an ICE agent. So to me, all that is wrong. And it's sad that and I'm happy this happened as well, because I feel like our community got tighter. I feel like the community came together, and there's a lot more people that are coming together, and it also made people realize and get it. Hopefully they get into politics and go out and vote. You know, that's the biggest thing. Like people tell me, oh, how do you get, because I always tell them, oh, you got to be able to get learn from a bad situation,
Yeah,
right? And they're like,
yeah.
well, what can you learn from a bad situation? My uncle got taken. I said, hey, man, I'm sorry that your uncle got taken, but what we can learn is, okay, what are we gonna do moving forward?
Yeah.
We can vote.
Yeah.
We can stop worrying about plastic bags.
Yeah.
We can stop worrying about straws.
Yeah, yeah.
Because in my opinion, I wish California would have had something like what Reagan did, where he had an amnesty, get people and to get their citizenship, their residence. So I think, and we lost track of that. You know, I think a lot of politicians here in California have overpromised and underdelivered, just like our city council.
Right.
You know, so
Yeah,
big topics.
and I agree with you. You know, I think a lot of times we think, oh, these national things won't affect us because we're in our little bubble. Like you said, we're in our Whittier bubble, right? But unfortunately, this issue did affect us, and it is affecting our economy. It's affecting Uptown. It's affecting, the car washes that keep getting the one that got hit, and actually, like our Supreme Court justice cited Whittier when it came to the ICE raids, and to me, it's a constitutional issue, right? Of course, I'm a lawyer and I'm a geek, and I do believe in the Constitution, right? And to me, like when you don't have due process rights, and when you're being picked up because of how you look, it's like I could be picked up, right? Like if I'm not wearing the right outfit, if I don't have my whatever documentation, I can very much, be picked up, and my family like has been personally affected. You know, my mom is a U.S. citizen, and she was at the quad when they came, and somebody was like, "Hey, ICE is here." And my mom's like, my mom's a U.S. citizen, but her English is not great, so she's like, "What if they take me?" And my mom's 72 years old. Like she shouldn't be fearing for her safety to go to Vallarta's. You know what I mean? Like, and to me, it's beyond politics. It's beyond the immigration debate. To me, it's a legal issue.
Yeah, it is, and it's wrong. And it's funny because there's a lot of like, oh, I'm a pro-gun, Second Amendment guy over my cold dead hands. I always say that because all these guys, and then you talk to some of those guys and they're like, oh, well, you got to follow the law. And it's like, yeah, dude, you do. But it's only a matter of time before it affects you. Like there's guys that have stickers that say, oh, the ATF is this, or they have the middle finger towards the ATF because they're like guns and tobacco or whatever. And it's like, but you support ICE. Like, you're like, it doesn't make sense,
Those
I don't
are
know.
two opposing positions. No, it's true. It's true. And then I think to bring it back to city council, you have some really serious problems like that happening. The community is looking for leadership. Like you said, Whittier is really good at building neighborhood communities, and because there has been no real leadership, people try to fix the problem themselves, which is great, right? Because we have a beautiful community, but there's also no leadership. So when all these people were coming to council and saying, hey, do something about this, at least say something, they were just like, they see no urgency because they're not personally affected, right? Their personal base is not affected or whatever. Like, I guess like they're too afraid to say anything. And I think leadership is about doing things that maybe you are afraid to do, and maybe like, you don't know the answers, but you stand up for your residents, you stand up for your community. And that's a big part of why I'm running. It's because I do feel that our community has been underrepresented at the city level, but even at the state and the national level. It all works together. It's all about who you work with collaboratively. Like, do you work with our congresswoman, or do you work with our assembly to make sure Whittier gets its fair share of resources? You got to be an advocate for your city. You have to be like, no, Whittier is important, Whittier matters, and you got to be willing to go to bat. You can't just hide or be passive or
sit back and collect the check.
Or work against your residents, and
I want to bring it back. I think I'm a blue collar guy. I come from a blue collar family. Everyone that I surround myself, all the parents for the most part, we're all blue collar. Plumbers, electricians,
My brothers
HVAC, all blue collar. And Whittier has a massive amount of blue collar guys. How would you represent, like what I like to say, my brothers, my blue collar brothers? How would you represent the blue collar, like men that are building cities and doing all the hard work? Like, how would you represent them? How would you get their vote?
So I definitely think that we need to bring back the focus on supporting blue collar guys and workers. My brothers are both CWA members. You know, they install telephone lines and they. I always tell people the reason I made it to this far was because of my brothers.
Yeah.
If my brothers didn't have those jobs and those union hard jobs, I wouldn't be where I am.
Yeah.
So I think we need to invest in those jobs and supporting those guys because it's not just it doesn't just make them successful, it makes their whole family and their whole generation.
Yeah.
Right? You kind of build like a different status and you are able to create those jobs. I luckily was endorsed by the LA Federation of Labor, right? Because they believe that I will go to bat for blue collar workers, and I will, because that's why I'm where I am. I would never be able to go to law school or college or any of that if it wasn't for my older brothers.
Yeah, there was somebody behind you.
Exactly.
Hey, I need a calculator. Hey, I need this. Or
my brother,
my car broke down.
Yeah. My brother was like, when I was in college, I couldn't afford like to pay my bills or whatever. My brother's like, okay, here's $1,000. You know, here's $200 for your food. Like, I didn't grow up with money. I didn't have it. My dad was not around. And I think that I truly believe that we need to invest in those jobs. And, you know, some of the things I've said is like, for example, in the city level, why do we contract everything out? Why don't we create some of those jobs for city workers? Like, for example, the trash contract, right? That's all private jobs. Well, why don't we have any of
our own city, like, what is it, Pasadena? They have their own, like, water and all their services, they're all in-house.
They're
like,
all utility workers. I mean, of course, like, your budget, you can't maybe do all of them, but you could do some and slowly start building the local economy and jobs here in Whittier. Because if you have a city worker, you're not just changing the trajectory of that worker, you're giving them benefits, you're gonna keep them in the city, they're gonna spend their money in the city. It's all connected.
Yeah, it's all like self-growth, you know, and it's funny that I've seen on Instagram, there was a guy, I forget his name, but he's an electrician, like 22, 24 years old. And he became like an influencer, and he was having like pipe bending classes. And I'm thinking, I'm like, a 24-year-old that has been an electrician for 2 years. He's having at a park, at different areas, calling people, hey guys, if you guys want to learn how to bend conduit and learn how to be an electrician, come down. I have a conduit that I got from job sites that's left over. We can learn together.
That's so cool.
And I'm like, that's cool.
Yeah, that is.
Like, why this guy is doing more
on
than
his
our
own.
on his own. Then with the people that we have in City Hall that have budgets, that have the money, that have the resources, citizens, a 24-year-old is doing more than those guys, you know?
Because you know why? Because it requires work. As an elected official, like for me, the first thing I think about is like the workforce development jobs, the programs, right? Where the city will chip in some money to train people on something like that. And it's a pipeline to good jobs, but it requires a council member that is proactive in talking to those groups, bringing those resources, getting funding, let's say like from Congress or whoever, our representative, to bring those resources. But why is it not being done? Because our council right now, they're all business owners. They own businesses, or they have, you know, development companies that they own. They're not the actual workers, right? They're not the actual blue collar workers. They say they support those jobs, but they're not they're helping, you know, the bottom line. And the thing is, like, you have to be able to create those jobs. Because why? Because both my brothers are blue collar workers, and their biggest complaint to me is always like, nothing is affordable. My kids are, you know, it's too expensive to have my kids in all these things that they need. College is almost like too expensive, because when you're a blue collar worker, you're kind of in between, right? Like you're not like totally low income, but you're not like high income. You're in the middle. So you feel pushed out of both sides. And that's the thing, is like, we're not focused on solving those problems, which are basic things. Like you said, taxes are very high in Whittier. You know, the job market is like non-existent in my view here. And so it's like, it's not sustainable for blue collar workers. So I do think we need to pay more attention. And the way that I would be more present is like this, having these conversations, having town halls, recruiting those programs, working with our other partners to get like more clued in on that, because I do think it has been ignored.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you bring up a great point, when you say that a lot of the people in charge are like, they're kind of like a CEO, right? Like the people in charge right now at the city, they're like, they're a CEO, and to me, none of us need a CEO, and I hate to say that, like if I have a problem in my home, I don't need a CEO to fix it. I'm calling a plumber, I'm calling an electrician, and I think that a lot of us in the blue collar trades, we feel like, whoa, I'm not a CEO, I'm not driving like this Jaguar or like this expensive car, so no one's gonna listen to me. But it's like, no, man, you have more power than you think. You could rewire a house, you could do AC. Like, I feel like we are like more in charge than we know. But we are
You're more talented.
Exactly. And we're led to believe that we need a CEO that makes $4 million to tell us and lead us, and it's like, not necessarily, guys. We have the skills.
And I agree. And I also think it translates into being shut out of the political process. Because I'll give you an example, like even just my family, right? They've never been involved in a campaign. They've never donated to they don't know, like they know who's who, kind of. They just fill out their ballot when it comes, right? So with my election, my family came to the debates, and they've been like, they come to my fundraisers and they're like, oh, they had no idea this is how it works, and it was so sweet because like after the second debate, my brother took one of my yard signs and he's like, I don't live in your district, but my neighbors could see it. Who live, he doesn't live in District 4, but he lives in Whittier, so he's like, let me take one. And to me, that is a big win because people are told like this political process is not for you. Like us over here can take care, and that's a big part of why I ran too, because yes, I have the credentials, like I'm a lawyer, I have my business, all that stuff, but I didn't come from that. I'm the first person in my family to do that. And so I can see the other side. I can see people that have been shut out. And I've been shut out. I'm pushing my way in.
No, that's good. And it's funny you say that, because in my own family, there's like little political turmoil, if you could say, right? In my own family, some of us think this way, some of us think that way. And we both think we're right, But when we get together at my mom's house, my mom's like, por favor, no quiero que hablen de religión y política. And to me, it's like, Mom, but it's very important for us to, like, if in your own family, you can't, like, talk about politics, what makes you think that we're gonna fix Whittier? And it's like I see a lot of Latinos or Mexican people here in Whittier, they're like, hey, well, we're underrepresented. And it's like, well, how many city council meetings did you go to? None. Are you gonna vote? Oh, it doesn't matter. And it's like, well, with that attitude, are you gonna make change, And then I also think too, that a lot of us need to start seeing each other like Americans. Because we always like to walk around, wave the Mexican flag, and we're very proud of our heritage, which it's a great thing. But we also gotta know that, we're American too.
We built this country.
We pay taxes. I have family and neighbors that are in the military. One of them's a veteran, and so we have to like show that, hey, we belong in this country. We're part of it.
And to me, like, I see my cultural background as a strength, right? Because I am American, and I also was raised with these really strong family values and community values. I'm very proud of that, and everything that I've been able to accomplish is because of my community and the strength my mom taught me, right? Coming from like the Mexican culture too. But I do think, that I agree with you that a lot of people are like, they don't feel that this is their system. And I do think we need to change that because I think that the reason people don't feel that they're involved, included, is by design. Like in Whittier, for example, the fact that we vote in April as opposed to November. Well, who's paying attention in April? People that don't have a lot going on, right? People that are not going to work every single day, raising their kids at night. It's like there's a specific lean if you have them in April as opposed to November when everybody else votes. In April, people are like, we need to do our taxes. We need to finish our, it's like.
We're doing sports. birthday party.
Yeah. So I think it's also like not just individuals' fault. I think it's the people in charge's fault because it's by design to keep us out.
Yeah.
And I would, that is something that I think we need to change.
Yeah.
We need to change the election to November so that more people are aware and we make it easier. Like, and some of it you're right. Like people just need to be involved on their own, but a lot of people are just trying to like live their life and survive.
Yeah, because everything's so expensive, and asking them to add, you know, hey, take an hour of your day to research each candidate. Like people have asked me, you know, they're like, hey, who are you gonna vote for? And I always tell them, look, man, I don't want to tell you who to vote for. I think that we've had a lot of veterans, and me knowing some veterans, I have a high respect for veterans, and I'm like, these guys have given up more than you know.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
For you to have the right to vote, and then you throw it away to go watch a Raider game, to go to a Dodger game. I mean, to me, that like, you know, like I'm in a fantasy football league, you know, and then we always have this thing in our fantasy football league where it's like, oh, we need to hold the league accountable, and for the integrity of the league, that gets thrown around. You're gonna damage the integrity of our fantasy football league, and I'm like, why can't we have that in our neighborhood and say, you need to go out and vote or else you're not holding the integrity of our city. You know, you're not holding it together, you know, and that's what bothers me. And so that's why I'm doing these little talks with everybody.
Great.
But I don't want to tell anybody who to vote for. You guys need to like research who you want to talk to.
Because everybody has different priorities and different issues. And I think with me, what has really given me inspiration, I think, is when I meet people in person. So like people will see me on social media because I'm out there. You know, I'm on TikTok, I'm on Instagram, whatever it is I got to be on. I know that I need to reach people. I'm also going door to door because I want people to have an opportunity to have access to me and ask the questions. I don't want them to, and my cell phone number's on my flyers, and I don't want people to think like I'm untouchable. I'm like this person over here. It's like, no, I'm your neighbor. You know, I'm a mom in the neighborhood just like you. Yes, I'm an attorney, but that doesn't mean that I don't have the same issues that you do or concerns. And I think talking to people in person has really been powerful for me because then people share more and like they're concerned, and then they meet me and they're like, okay, she does care. And
their
then,
guard is down.
And there's like, because there is a lot of misinformation online, and there's a lot of people who think residents are dumb and they want to treat them like they're dumb. They want to do like gimmicky stuff. And to me, I'm like, I don't like that. I don't like treating people like they're less than, and because I've seen it done to me and my family, and I don't like that. I'm like, I'm gonna treat you with the same respect I'm gonna treat everyone else, and I want you to have the information, you know. And I think there's a lot of, in politics, unfortunately, it's like, oh, vote for me because, you know, I like the Raiders or whatever it is, like gimmicky stuff. But it's like, no, like you said, like, let's get down to the issues. Let's get down to the real. That's what, like, in my opinion, it should be.
You know, it's funny. I could be wrong, but I remember a Christmas like parade. Whittier has a Christmas parade. There was a city council member that was all Raidered out, yelling Raiders, and I'm like, there's no way that guy likes the Raiders. I'm like, this guy's just like, he's just like getting votes. You know, you're like trying to connect in a certain way and then to get votes, but
or like people that like they just speak Spanish and eat a taco. You know, it's like. People, do you understand like the you don't understand the issues. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love tacos and I also speak Spanish, but I'm like, that's not the only thing, you know? But I agree. I think, you know, we have a beautiful community and a beautiful opportunity to really have true representation, and that's why I'm running. I'm running because I felt that I was disrespected, and I was told that my voice didn't matter when I reached out to council, and I realized that I'm not the only one. There's a lot of people.
There's a ton of people
that have reached out and have been shut down. And the recent example I've been sharing with people is I had this resident tell me that she went up to one of our council members at a restaurant in Uptown, and she was like, hey, I have this idea, like the electrical boxes. She was like, some cities put art on it and it's really beautiful, blah, blah, blah. So she tells the selected, and he responds to her, and he's like, well, when you're in office, you can do that.
Wow.
And to me,
so disrespectful.
And to me, that is the crux of what we have right now on council. Like, including, you know, everybody on there. Not everybody, but like my opponent, you know. And it's like, that should never be the
Yeah.
case. And to me, that a lot of people feel that way, and they feel like, well, what's the point?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say anything. I'm not gonna get involved. I'm not gonna go to council because
It's
what
a waste
I say,
of time. Yeah.
Exactly. There's like that apathy, and I think because of that, they've been able to get away with a lot.
Oh yeah, and I think it's by design. You know, it's
Yeah.
like there's a term for it, which I can't think of it right now. But you're basically attacking the residents' like morale.
Yeah.
You know, and you
Yeah.
show them that it can't be done. You put all these obstacles, and eventually they give up.
Yep.
You see it at the meetings. Like I've
Yeah.
gone to meetings, and I'm
Yeah.
like, why am I here? Like
know. It's
seriously,
bad.
like this is
It's
such
bad.
a waste of time. I could be at home,
I
like
know.
making a steak,
I
making my
know.
wife
I
happy,
could be
washing
watching
dishes.
Netflix.
Yeah, watching Netflix.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
so that's another thing. You know,
Yeah.
that the city council, it just kills you morally.
I know
And then
it
you look at the
does.
people that are up there, and you're
Yeah.
like, okay, these guys. They're all old, man. Like, how do they represent me?
Yeah, yeah.
Even in like, and not to disrespect them, but
Right,
also
right.
in Congress
Oh,
and
yeah.
in all
Yeah.
levels, right?
Because we don't
like,
have term limits.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm like, how do I answer? Like,
Yeah.
if he was my grandpa, I'd probably shove him in a corner and be like, here, dude, smoke a cigar. Here's an old
You should be
fashioned.
retired at home.
You know,
Yeah,
should be
yeah.
retired at home.
No,
bro.
yeah, it's
Let
true.
us that have
Yeah.
kids, that have skin in the game.
Right, right.
You know, and that's why I love you that you're running. And
thank you.
I actually donated to your campaign.
Yeah, you did.
And
Thank
I
you.
endorse you
Yeah.
because I really love that. You have the background. A lot of blue collar guys, they get scared when it's
Yeah.
like a lawyer, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
that's
yeah.
what we fear the most as
Yeah,
blue
yeah.
collar. Like you're working on a,
You're like, uh-oh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're working on an electrical panel,
Yeah.
and you're like, hey, el dueño de la casa es abogado, so
heck
ponte
no.
trucha,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. That's why I don't tell people I'm a lawyer usually.
So a lot of us are afraid
Yeah.
of lawyers, but I
Yeah.
look at it the other way. I'm like, hey, you know, we have somebody that has the credentials that's going to represent us.
Yeah.
And, you know, you're one of us. Like,
Yeah.
we need people to represent the blue collar guys, you
you.
know, and
Yeah.
I hope that
Thank you.
that the blue collar guys of Whittier that live in District 4, I hope they show up, you know,
Thank
and
you.
vote for you.
Yeah.
Because we definitely need change. You know,
Yeah.
I know that you have a son or a
Yeah,
daughter, right?
son, yeah.
A son, he's
Yeah.
4 or
He's 4,
5.
yeah, yeah.
You know, I have kids. I have a
Yeah.
14, a 12, and a 10-year-old.
That's awesome, yeah.
And they're gonna all go to school here in Whittier.
Yeah.
So I mean, we want to improve our city.
Yeah.
You know.
And you know, it's been really inspiring, and I thank you for your support. But like also, you know, like having young people, and I consider us young.
Oh, dude, that was a city, bro. The squirrel just got me.
See, I say I consider us young, and the squirrel just threw something.
The
at
squirrel's
us.
like, you're old, fool.
Oh my gosh. Well, I consider us young compared to, like you said, who's
Yeah.
representing us. But what's been really cool to me is like I was getting coffee the other day, and like a young person was like, "Hey, like you're gonna win," you know?
Yeah.
And he was like, "I seen your stuff,"
Yeah.
and I was like, "Oh, you know who I am?" You know?
Yeah.
And he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "You got this," and then I've had several people
Yeah,
come
it's
up to
inspiring.
me, yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh my God, you know, like I
Yeah.
just feel like so good when people tell me that, because like when you're campaigning, you're working so hard every day, and you know the odds are against you, but you're like, I will not be
Yeah.
outworked, because you know I will not be outworked,
Yeah.
and this is how I've done things all my life. But it's been inspiring to see people that you said have been shut out,
Yeah.
and say like, thank you for running.
Yeah.
Like so many people have told me thank you for running, and I'm
Yeah.
like, wow, you know, like
No, and it takes a toll mentally running, you know. But I hope that you know, that this helps. I hope people watch
you.
this and they get inspired, you know, and that's a reason why I brought my daughter. She's
Yeah.
around here somewhere. I brought
Yeah,
her
yeah.
so she could get inspired by
Good.
people like you. You know,
Yeah,
like we
thank
like
you.
to shop locally. There's a store, and I always shout her out. Her name is Bior Gems. She sells jewelry,
Yeah.
and I like taking my daughters there, and I support her business because my daughters look up to her.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, you know,
Yeah.
she's a business owner.
Yep.
She owns businesses. She makes
Yeah.
good jewelry. Every time we go in there, she treats my daughters with like
That's great.
so much respect. She's
Yeah.
like, hey guys, how's it going?
That's awesome.
What do you guys want to get? You know, so it's
Yeah.
very nice. You walk
Yeah.
in there and my daughters feel the love. And I also
Yeah.
want them to know like, hey, you could be this person
Yep.
that owns a business
Yeah.
and do what she's doing,
Yeah.
you know? So,
And I
so
do
it's
want I do
inspiring.
want to have those pipelines for young people at City Hall. Like I don't understand why we don't have like an internship program
Yeah.
for young people.
Yeah.
You know, like your daughters to come and find out how does the city work, how are things connected.
Yeah.
You know, that's how I started. I started as an intern,
Yeah.
and when I went to UCI, I was able to go to DC for a summer.
Nice.
And my whole world was like, what? I had no idea any of this, you know,
Yeah.
And I remember I had never left LA at that point. My brothers were like, "Where are you going?" You know, my mom's like, "Okay, vaya con Dios."
Yeah.
And my brothers were just like, "Why are you going all the way over there?" I'm like, "I don't know. I need to learn things." You know,
They're like, they don't sell tacos there. You know, don't go there.
I know, but that's how it starts. Like you have a little internship that opens up your eyes to something, and that's what we need for like our young people in Whittier. We need to give them access to these experiences because it all builds on their success. You know?
And our numbers are there. You know, there's a lot of we have a strong community and we have a lot of people. So I definitely think that you know, hopefully we could start an internship program and have kids like learn how to start a business, how to do their taxes, financials. I go through my kids' homework and I'm like, okay, how is like the history of China gonna help you, bro? Like, I mean, seriously,
I know.
like, you know, like my daughter the other
we
day.
need to learn how to balance a checkbook, how to make money, how to pay the bills.
And it's funny, my wife holds the line. You know, like all women, I think and that's why another reason I like you, because you're a woman and you're educated. You're gonna go in there. That's another reason I support you. But my wife holds the line in my family, right? Like, if it weren't for my wife, my house would be a mess. Like, she's the glue, right? Because if I do homework, I'm like, let's just rush through it, get through it, and then my wife's like, no, you need to learn this and that, and I'm more of like,
how's this gonna help?
In 5th grade, like I tell my daughter Stella, I said, look, Stella, you're in 6th grade. No one's ever, when you go to a job interview, they're not gonna go, hey, let me see your report card from 6th grade. Nobody cares. Let's just get through this, you know? But my wife's like, no, you need to learn. It's you gotta learn English, you gotta learn. So she's the glue of the family.
Well, my husband's a teacher, and what he tells his students is like, you're never gonna need this. When you're in the future, you're never gonna need all this information. However, you just need to get your diploma so that you can do the next thing. You know, like he tries to tell the kids that are not motivated, like you just gotta get through it. And that's how, I mean, I'm a nerd, so I loved school when I was a kid. But when I got to law school, I hated it. I was like, this is so boring. Like, I'm far from my family. Like, I was just miserable. I stood out because a lot of my classmates came from money and were like privileged, and I wasn't. And I remember one of my mentors was like, you just got to get through it. You just got to do the dance and get through it so you could do the things you want to do. And it does require a lot of sacrifice and work. Same thing with a campaign, right? It's like everything that is worth it is like hard work, but you got to do the dance and get through it.
Nah, well, Aida, thank you for you know, taking the time on this beautiful Sunday. No, it's all right. We brought a backup battery for the camera. No, so you know, thank you for you know, taking the time to talk to us. I hope that people watch this, but more importantly, I want everybody to go out and vote, man. Like, I want you to like stop coming up to me at like the coffee shop and you're like, hey Manny, this road sucks, what can we do? And it's like, well, did you vote? No. So then why are you asking me?
Don't ask me. And if you could provide the information for voting, you know, the ballots are already out. April 11th is when you can start voting in person, but you can start voting now. You just have to fill out the ballot and drop it off. So maybe you could put the information for the mailboxes.
If I can get with somebody to give me that, I'll post it, you know, and hopefully I could attach it. So I'm new to like social media, so a lot of my stuff, when I put it out, they're like, Manny, who did this? I'm like, it was my daughter. You know, I'm blaming my daughter. I know. But it was me.
I know.
But I'm like, come on, guys, you can't be good at everything.
You just got to do it. Well, thank you for having me.
Hey, no problem.
Thank you. On your
show. On my little show. Hopefully, you know, people go out and vote. And
I think they will.
Let's get you into District 4 and make some changes.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for having me, and thanks for your support, everyone.